All right, so Mark, you brought up this issue about the fact that the largest employers are going to be a catalyst that's going to push this forward, and that to some extent we're the catalyst. And yet a group of those largest employers have already aligned, despite these mergers, to say that that's not, they want to take over, they want more control. And so everybody's pretty familiar now with Berkshire Hathaway, Amazon, JP Morgan Chase announcement, and the recent hire of Atul Gawande to be the CEO of this enterprise. Very little clarity exactly what it is and what its mission is, other than to improve the quality and cost of care for those who were employed by those companies, which represent, I guess, millions of people, either directly or indirectly. So you offered the premise that the employers are kind of promoting these kinds of mergers, and a lot of talk around the patient centricity and consumerism that they represent. And yet we've got three of the most sophisticated and largest employers who are saying, this is not what we're talking about, it's something else. What's the something else?
Well, I think we're already seeing a bit of the something else. So if you look at the carve-outs that we've seen, for example, with large employers like I think it was Lowe's and Home Depot sending their patients to the Cleveland Clinic for heart surgery. When you see some of the contracts with MD Anderson for specialty cancer care. We're now seeing, we're starting to see the first crest of the wave of direct provider-employer contracting, and looking at what happened in Detroit. There's a question ultimately of what is the relevance of the payer going to be. I think that there's so much potential for things to be upended here, and I think the employers are starting to get very creative and saying, how are we going to create value for our employees? How are we going to maintain our cost or lower our costs or maintain the rate of rise at a reasonable level? And then there's the whole concept of the employer-provided primary care clinics and all the other things that are happening, and some of which are new, some of which actually have been done for years at certain organizations. So I think they're just starting to think about how can we do better, because we can't afford not to.
So employers have been pretty silent, I mean, for the last couple decades. Very few, Pitney Bowes, Boeing, you can probably count on a hand those who are really very actively engaged in really managing healthcare for their employees. For the rest, it's kind of been, let the third-party vendor, take care of it. I guess so is anyone more cynical that the employers are not going to step up to that degree? And the fact that the percent of the workforce which is now self-employed continues to grow and grow, and is a considerable percent now. So so let's take it back then to specifically. Do you see anything specifically coming out of the Berkshire Hathaway, Amazon, JP Morgan Chase?
I'm personally not so sure that I do. I think Atul Gawande is a brilliant guy, and I love what he's written, and I love the way he approaches healthcare. But to me, the jury's out.
So what we don't know is what they want to be when they grow up. They could be one of kind of two broad things. They could be a really efficient, effective, forward-thinking, self-insured plan sponsored with 1 million covered lives. In which case, buying PillPack allows them to negotiate better prices on pharmacy drugs. And just from a simple mathematical perspective, if you save 10% by more efficient contracting for 1 million beneficiaries, that's going to drop a couple million to your bottom line.
It's interesting. So you're going to put the PillPack acquisition by Amazon as related to this umbrella enterprise of 3 companies, rather than Amazon's pure pursuit to be in over-the-counter drug distribution.
It's possible. All I'm saying is it's possible. So it could be that these guys are just going to say, okay, our chronically ill members are located in these geographic areas, and our centers of excellence with whom we will negotiate contracts will be these providers, and we will save our organizations, our 3 organizations with 1 million covered lives, so many dollars. To me, that is boring. Boring, right? I don't give a hoot if they do that. In fact, they don't need any more money, those 3 companies. They got plenty. It's more interesting, and again, this is cloak and dagger stuff, man. We haven't heard nothing about what they really want to be. If they start thinking about alternative delivery models, models, about looking at how do they impact social determinants of health for their covered lives, looking at a heat map of where their members are and what the diseases that the medical conditions those members have in those areas. I mean, there's some really cool stuff they could do, but I haven't the foggiest idea what they want to be when they grow up. I don't know that Amazon does a lot of stuff that doesn't result in them making some money somehow. So there's got to be at least a little bit of the former, but I'm hoping there'll be more of the latter. Because Atul Gawande's a smart guy, and he, he's, on the one hand, he has really no chops in this game, right? He's never worked in this space. On the other hand, he's an innovative thinker, and God knows we could use some innovative thinking.
I think that is a point well taken, that this is disruptive. Amazon by nature is an innovative thinker, and I think that, as you said, this is more of a pilot, and I think that we will see some really interesting stuff come out of it.
If you think about the pieces, you've got the innovation of Amazon, you've got the capital from Chase, and you've got some of the smartest investing for acquisitions coming out of Berkshire's. So if you were to create the next generation healthcare company, you can start to think about, you've got the pieces needed to put all that and assemble it. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of it.
And especially what we said earlier, just about the focus on the consumer, and that is, I think, what you will see coming out of this.